Alperen Sengun is the best player on the Rockets. And should we be worried about Jalen Green? Let's talk about it.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Summit State of Mind, presented to you by the Apollo Podcast Network. In this episode, we are going to discuss Alperen Sengun is the best player on the Rockets. Should we be worried about Jalen Green? Rockets versus Grizzlies preview. And, of course, our DAWG, our Dog of the Week. GM, let's get right into it right now. I don't even want to waste time. I want to go right into it right now. GM, Alperen Sengun continues to tickle the twine in more ways than one, has been extraordinary, has been incredible. I want to give you his stats right now. Through 12 games, he's played 32 minutes, career high, 21 points a game, career high, 9 field goals made, career high, 59% from the field, career high, 34.6% from three, career high.
Okay.
All right, 60.9% from the free throw line, bit of a struggle, right? 8.8 rebounds, not a career high. 5.7 assists, career high. 0.9 in steals, tied for his career high.
Not bad.
About a half a block, so it's gone down roughly. This is the telling point. A plus 5.6 per game. Going from negative 3.8 to a plus 5.6. You're looking at almost an 8-point discrepancy from last year to this year. GM, let's talk about it right now. Alperen Sengun, 6-6 are the Rockets. He is the true engine that is running. So the question that begs now is, Alperen Sengun, is he the best player on the Rockets?
I mean, when you look at the stats, you can definitely say so. I mean, that's totally fair. It's a fair argument. He is the one that is making the team go. He is the engine, like you stated. He is Omega Supreme, and he is the person that's pushing us through the door in terms of being competitive. Alp has played well. I'll definitely give him that. The 61% free throw shooting can be better, a little alarming.
Well, I think that's a little, especially in the fourth quarter, because he misses 10 Smiths in the fourth quarter. So yeah. I would accredit that to tired legs. I would accredit that to lack of conditioning.
Yes, definitely, right? Fatigue, lack of conditioning is very fair. LP, that can be a little critique because I felt like you probably could have been more prepared for the workload this season. But hey, now, in year 3, you're 21, 22 years old. Maybe those were not the expectations going into training camp. I get it. We tried to sign Brook Lopez. But at the end of the day, you are the guy at this moment in time. Ime Udoka has handed you the keys to this offense. And it's moving. I'll say this, there are definitely times in the game when Alp is definitely playing well, but everyone around him is not. The offense can definitely get a little stagnant. There's not as much movement as we get into the fourth quarter. That definitely occurs. I get it. I understand it. Alp has been the guy, but at the same time, the team has not been perfect. There are definitely improvements that can definitely be made, but I see what you're saying.
So what you're saying is that you see what we're saying, but you're not in total agreement of what's happening. You just said it's just based on stats. What about the totality? What about the impact and what he's made? Because if you think about it, you don't win the 6 games without LP.
No, I agree.
You don't win.
I agree.
You don't win any of those games, in my opinion. I think 6 of those games. Well, maybe you could have won 2, but I don't think you win those 6 games. He took LeBron head to head. He took LeBron head to head in the game against the Lakers. He made an incredible impact on both ends of the floor. That's the thing for me, his ability to make an impact on both ends of the floor. And he's done in both, and he's done it successfully. Yeah, there's going to be woes. There's going to be growing pains. Brand new coach. 21, 22 years old, still supremely young as well. And he's putting up these types of, he's not just putting up these stats. I've seen empty stats on a bad team. These are not empty stats on a bad team. These are impact stats. And there's 2 different things. You got the empty stats, you got the impact stats. Everything that I tacked off are impact stats, whether they be seen as positive or negative. The way that I see it is that Alperen Sengun, if you watch, especially that last possession, because you either got it or you don't.
But I can say that the possession prior to that, he gave up the dunk.
He gave up the dunk, which dunk on who?
There was a dunk to AD. You're talking about the Lakers game, correct?
Well, because he had to roll. Well, no, he had to roll over on that one because of the fact that he had to help because someone was getting beat off the dribble. That was actually Jalen in the corner. Well, then who he stays back and then that's a layup.
I'd have to look back at
you have to you have to watch it back because I remember vividly what had happened was if LP goes up, Jalen has to cut Anthony Davis off in the corner.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to say is that Alperen Sengun, the way it was set up was that he went head to head against LeBron. Big moment of the game. You either got it or you don't. That's the bottom line. That is the greatest player of our generation, and he took him head on like it was nothing. He knew LeBron was on him. He could easily just say, "Okay, well, if I back him down, I don't see it, I'll kick it out." No, he made it a point, and he said, "I'm gonna take it to him. I don't care who's in front of me. I'm gonna make it happen, and I'm gonna tie this game no matter what." I haven't seen that type of dog from a center since, at least from a center standpoint, obviously Nikola Jokic and Embiid, but on a Rockets uniform since the days of Olajuwon and Yao Ming. I haven't seen a single center act like that. To say that the ball needs to be in my hands, and if the ball's in my hand, I will be successful.
Yeah.
Like, these stats are insane, and he's proven it over time now in terms of him being successful. The thing is that the way it works for me is that if he's going to continue upon this trajectory of success, I mean, we mentioned it last game about him being an all-star, but look, the road trip, let's talk about the 3-game road trip as well. He had 23 points against the Clippers, 23 points against the Lakers, 30 points against the Warriors. He went in this stretch, 23-8 against the Clippers, 23-10 against the Lakers, 30-13 against the Warriors.
Yeah.
He was getting his. Shot over 50% on 2 out of the 3 games except for the Clippers, and it's his impact, GM. That's why I've fallen head over heels for this player, just because of the way that because look, I've seen empty statted players. I know players that can fill up a stat sheet better than anybody, and it leads to nothing. You know, Alperen Sengun is not a part of that.
Yeah.
He's not a part of that equation. He puts up stats that matter, and you don't get these wins. You don't get this type of success without an engine like an LP, because when you get stagnant in a half-court set, now granted, which we're going to talk about in our next segment, I want more like movement in that sense. But however, when the chips are down and you need a bucket, LP, at least from what I've seen these past 12 games, more than proven to be more than capable of taking that next step to be an effective scorer down the stretch.
The one thing I'm going to say is this, is that, with, like we stated earlier, his fatigue, sustainability, that is the thing that we're going to have to witness and wait and see based on as the season progresses. Because with him running that PNR with Fred VanVleet, it's beautiful and it's wonderful, but it's also very predictable. They work it well, but there needs to be some forms of alternatives on this offense of where there's an option B and C, because they've been going to option A all the time. And teams are starting to be ready for it, as you can tell based on the defense. But LP is still able to score on it. What I'm saying is Ime Udoka has an absolutely empowered LP. He runs this team through LP. My question is, once it gets to games 40 and 50, if it's still the same, will we get the same success? I do believe that LP definitely needs some help in terms of his performance, because we can't depend on him to put up 30 and 13 in every game. It's just not going to be plausible. But if he's hitting 37% from 3, 37, 38%, which is definitely possible, that's going to change everything.
Yeah, I think so too.
I just think that the way that things are going is not sustainable based on his fatigue. But that's just me. That's just how I feel. As the game progresses, obviously you can see LP is getting tired. And I think the man needs help. If we're going to be able to do that, Ime needs to implement more wrinkles in this new Houston Rockets offense. But we're only in games. We're in game 12.
We're in game 12. We got 70 games remaining. If we were in game 40 and we're still saying the same thing, I would cause for an alarm.
I'm going to say that I think
we're in game 12. We're going to game 13.
I think things will change.
You sound like a lot of the fans right now.
I think I do not sound like a lot of the fans right now.
Currently, just because everyone's like, oh, well, you need more plays, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, we're in game 12. Like, you don't think he's getting to know his team just as in real time, just as much as we as fans are trying to absorb all of this right now?
I'm appreciating what we see, but at the same time, I understand the sustainability aspect of what's occurring.
You're right.
That's the concern. Does it mean that I'm not enjoying No.
Right, but
It
I
doesn't
trust
mean
Ime
that.
regardless. I don't care. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is that
I
he has
trust
so
Ime too.
He has
I
so
was
much
the
of my
Ime guy
trust
from the beginning.
But that's what I'm saying. He has so much
Yeah.
of he has so much of our trust right now that I don't even think anyone should be worried about, or you yourself should be worried about, the sustainability of it, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he's going to let LP get to that point. I think Ime knows his players so well that he's going to find wrinkles and he's going to find ways to make other players like Jalen Green, which we're going to go into in our next segment, very, very effective. However, in a vacuum right now, 12 games into the season, the bottom line is you can cut it, split it, 5 ways, 6 ways, whatever, until it's minute. No matter what you may think or no matter what anyone else may think, best player on the team by far is Alperen Sengun. And it's not even close right now. We need to create, obviously more of a balanced attack.
Yeah.
Because I still truly believe that we are very Detroit Pistons light from 2004.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a superstar on the team. Not as of yet. Alperen Sengun, he's crossing that threshold. He may very well get there.
Yeah.
And if he sustains, holy crap, if he sustains.
Yeah.
You're looking at possibly one of the best centers in the NBA.
He's
by far.
I
if he
think
sustains.
he's probably a top 5, top 6 already.
All right now.
As of this moment.
I think he's top 4. I think he's
No,
4.
that's fair.
I think he's 4, man.
That's a fair
I think He's 4.
statement.
I think he's better than Sabonis. I think he's better than Sabonis.
I think that's fair.
He's right. I think he's behind Jokic and Embiid. Yeah, I think you could argue for him being number 3. Who would be number 3?
Man, I don't even know.
You know what I mean? Think about it. Who would be number 3? Because obviously it'd be Jokic and Embiid.
Are you going to put AD up there? Are you going to put AD as a center? Because he is
let
the
him play.
center.
Let him play enough games, and then he can get back to us.
That's a little real.
That is real, and it's true. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move on right now, GM, to the next segment. Obviously, it's a very touchy segment because a lot of the way that the fans are feeling, and currently a lot of fans are feeling a certain way about him. When it comes to fan bases, when you are a fan, fans like to put a certain player under the microscope, right? Of what do you call that? Of criticism. We're gonna call a spade. Last year it was Kevin Porter Jr. That was all season.
I think it was opposite.
Oh, yeah, I know. But there was a lot of what people there was an arguing point for people. And last year it was KPJ. That was an arguing point. But this year in particular, especially accounting amongst his struggles, we need to talk about Jalen Green, especially with the span of the last 3 games that have happened.
Yeah.
Jalen Green, look, okay, let's drop the stats just so everyone can kind of get with us on this. This year, he's averaged 31 minutes a game, career low.
Yep.
18 points a game, not so bad. 39% from the field, not very good. Averaging 35% from 3, 78% from the free throw line, about almost 5 rebounds a game, which we're going to talk about, almost 3 assists a game, half a steal, half a block. He's at a plus 3.1 currently, which is his first year ever in the plus category. He was negative 7.7, negative 5.9 the year before. So, GM, that's the stats currently. What do we feel in terms of Jalen Green? Look, we know that he is struggling. The fans know it. There's starting to be a loud motion amongst the fan base to want to think greener pastures, maybe, in terms of the talent that Jalen Green has provided because of the stock that was put into him as the number 2 overall pick.
Yeah.
What have your thoughts overall? Look, 6-6 Rockets, Jalen Green right now, his overall play, he struggled. We know this, 39% from the field, unacceptable by any means.
Yeah.
But what's been your overall opinion of him and how he's kind of been, I guess, utilized within this 2023 Rockets?
I think for Jalen Green, it has mainly to do with his role currently in the offense. He's used to being number 1 or number 2, predominantly number 1. And on this squad, he's not that guy currently. Alperen Sengun is the guy, and that's understood. Like we stated earlier, he is performing as the best Rocket currently. For Jalen Green, he's learning things that he hasn't had to do in past seasons, where he's having to learn how to stay engaged defensively, having to play a bit more off the ball, having to rebound, having to pass and make the correct play. Ime Udoka is constantly coaching him up. I don't know how many times that we've seen Jalen Green and Ime Udoka chatting it up on the sideline. They cut to them at least 3 times a game.
They're constant communication, which is good.
And it's a wonderful thing. And like you stated earlier, Kamish, you said trust Ime. And in this situation, I will. Because Jalen Green is, if not second best or like the best in terms of potential, in terms of being a superstar with his skill set, athleticism wise, handles, his shot when he's hitting, and to me, there's a lot of things that are happening in terms of what is going on in his head and in his game. He's thinking way too much, and you can see it out on the floor. He's playing a role that he is not accustomed to, and that's okay. Ime Udoka wants his guards to be very versatile. I'm not going to say that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum were struggling in a similar sense. Those guys were a lot more entrenched in the NBA. They're more tenured. Jalen Green's in year 3, year 1 in Ime's system, and this is the very first time he's in a team and very structured offense. Yeah, and I think that it's fair to understand that struggles will occur with Jalen Green. And I'm going to quote Salman Ali here. Shout out to a good friend of the program. He said, the year 3 leap is overstated. And you know what? He's not wrong. We all have this mentality of the year 3 leap occurring. It can still happen. But the thing about it is that with his skill set, these kind of players take a lot more time to really establish themselves in the league. It can be year 4. It can be year 5. But hey, man, if he struggles this year and he ends up accepting a contract extension for cheaper than what can be, and then he becomes like a Devin Booker, then good for the Rockets.
Would it be like a late? Would it be like a late bloomer?
Nothing wrong with a late bloomer.
Oh, late Bloomski? Late Bloomski
there
action?
You go.
Little late Matt Bloom action?
A little yeet bloomer?
Oh, a little yeet bloomer? I love a little yeet bloomer. Love it. Jim, I agree with every aspect of what you were trying to say, and I want to tack onto that, especially with the fact that Jalen sat in the fourth quarter.
That definitely matters
during the game.
I can't believe I forgot to mention that.
No, you're good. You're good. The fact that he sat,
and
that's why you got me. By the way, I'm a co-host. That's what I'm here for.
Touche.
Here, pick you up and you
steer me in the right direction.
We're gonna steer into this. He sat in the entirety of the fourth quarter in our last game against the Warriors, very reminiscent of what happened to Jabari those last 2 games of the homestand when we played against
Green.
Right, when we substituted him out for Jeff Green. This is very similar in terms of the way that it happened. Shows that Ime does not care who you are. Shows that Ime does not care what your position of draft is.
Yep.
Number 3 overall pick sat. Number 2 overall pick sat. So he does not care. He's going to go with whoever's going to help him win this game. It's not something like, hey, this is permanent. Yeah. He's going to go with the guys, and Ime said. He said, I was going with the lineup. Holiday was cohesive with this lineup, and they were the most effective this game. So he was very adamant in saying this game. And following through on that, look, Jabari, when he sat, it changed a lot for him. The second he touched down in LA, he had great stats. He played very, very well. I think overall, and it's a way that it can kind of get it going in terms of how important it is for Jalen Green. Look, here's another stat at you. He has 8 less touches this year than last year.
Yep.
8 less touches. 8 less touches. If you think about it like this, if you average 5 of your 8 possessions on the touches, if you score out of 5 out of those 8 possessions, that's at least 10 points.
True.
So think about it like that. 10 points off the table from Jalen Green. 8 less touches in terms of getting yourself going. 8 less touches to keep yourself within the flow of the offense. 8 less touches to put yourself into a rhythm. The ball needs to be in your hand to be effective, right? As an offensive player. Jalen Green is very much a ball needs to be in his hands to be effective. I think we would like for him to take a Devin Booker-like route, to be able to move off the ball, and Klay Thompson-like route.
But I mean, we can say that we saw, you and I both said on countless occasions in multiple games during this road trip of where Jalen Green was wide open on a fast break. Jayshawn Tate, Jabari Smith Jr., Dylan Brooks, Al P, even everyone egregiously ignored him. Fred VanVleet too. Wide open driving to the lane.
Then you're wondering why that.
Yeah, that's
kind of happens,
I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, I get it. And the shitty thing is that last year Kevin Porter Jr. was finding him in those. I mean, that's pretty much
struggling. Yeah, he's struggling without him. So Because they're trying to find. He's trying to find a way to fit into this.
But also it's a different coach as well, different system.
It's not playground ball anymore, man.
It's not.
It's a sufficient system.
I think that there were many opportunities on a lob where Jalen could have had an opportunity to get 2 points. And we had one possession loss in which Dylan Brooks probably missed Jalen 3 times on the fast break. Jayshawn Tate once. In just that Laker game alone. It was disgusting. Disgusting work. But hey, man, I get it. For people that still believe in Jalen, we ride.
Right. No. And I agree with you, too, because in terms of Jalen being successful is also incumbent upon not just the success of himself, but the success of how the team finds him and makes him active and how, and it also stems on Ime. But also, on the other side of the coin, it's just, hey, man, just play better. Yeah. Like, It does go as simple as that. If you cut between the line, you cut all the BS, you just have to play better. Yeah. And what is playing better? Like, is playing better off being more offensively efficient? Is better playing better on the defensive end? Is better finding more people on the passes when you have the ball in your hands? Is better boxing out? Because he, in my opinion, in terms of rebounding, has been successful. In terms of defense, has been successful. I've seen a leap in terms of rebounding and hustle,
playmaking, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I'm more or less playmaking. I think
he's made
I
the right
haven't seen
passes.
enough of him. I haven't seen enough of him because he has been struggling in the paint. He actually has been. He hasn't been making a lot of his layups. He'll go into the lane and then I don't know why it rattles out. I think a lot of it is confidence based. In my opinion, he's the most what do you call that? Athletic guy on the team by far, even maybe the most athletic player in the NBA for all we know.
Yeah.
I want him to be able to use that more to his advantage. But remember, I said this before the season started, his ability to accelerate and decelerate is what's going to make him effective in the trenches now. Mm-hmm. He has to learn how to decelerate his body once he's in that lane and he's already up for the layup. He was so good at that last year, his ability to kind of finish in the lane. It's kind of dropped off now. And I think a lot of it is confidence-based. You don't just lose that overnight. I think what needs to happen is that Jalen needs to find what makes him effective in other ways. Jabari did it. He used it. Look at the last game. He had 17 points, 7 of 12 from the field, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. The game prior, 14 points against the Lakers, 5 of 10, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. That is what you want out of Jabari.
Yep.
So Jabari took that in stride, and now he was more effective because of it. Jalen Green needs to have this moment now where his own slice of humble pie, knowing that, hey, man, like, you're not going to play all the fourth quarters if you can't find a way to get it going. And getting it going doesn't mean that you have to be you don't have to be on fire on offense. Right. You have to just be engaged and into the game, no matter what. And that can be anything. That can be, like I said, it can attest to your assists, your rebounding, your hustle, your intangibles, your defense.
I mean, it's definitely the first time that this young man has faced any type of adversity in basketball whatsoever. I mean, you can consider the last 2 years a big, woof of that. But this is the first time where we're seeing the team succeed and Jalen is not succeeding. So there's a huge difference. It just depends on how you see it. He looks a little lost, like I stated. He might be thinking a little too much on the court. But as time progresses and eBay starts to learn more about Jalen, find out what makes him tick, find out what Jalen likes in terms of placement on the offense, where he can find him in spots in which he can rise up and shoot or get him easier buckets for him to get going. That'll be on Ime. And that time will come. And I believe that it will. There's nothing more that I want to see than a Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun duo. The next Kobe and Pau Gasol. That's kind of like what you would hope.
Or
that's a lot.
You know what? I don't even need it to be like that. I'll take a freaking Jamal Murray and Jokic combo. Like, I'll take something like that.
Touché.
Murray is very effective next to Jokic, and Murray looks like an all-star.
What we really need is, just Jalen Green to be able to pick it up and execute a bit more, but that'll come in due time. I still believe. I know that there are people saying that they're selling their stock already. Hey, man, that's on you. That's fair, but I won't do it. Will not. Refuse.
No, I think you're good. And, like, if people that are, like, selling stock on Jalen right now, just pump the brakes.
Yeah.
We're 12 games into the season.
Yeah.
Just as much as when people are flipping out about Jabari not playing well.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, we're 8 games in the season.
Yeah.
So you still have 70 games remaining.
Yeah.
If we're at game 50 and we're seeing more of the same, game 40, if we're about halfway through the season, we can step back and take a look into it.
Yeah.
Like really look into it, and I think it'll be more than plausible. I think the sample size would be large enough. We're 12 games into the season, baby. There is 70 games remaining, so I don't think there's anything to worry about right now. I think it's all about gelling and figuring it out. And I can guarantee you right now is that Fred VanVleet and the LP pick and roll, which is super fucking effective, is not what's going to be what gets them over the top. And I guarantee you, Ime knows that, and he knows that they're going to pick up on it. Teams are going to pick up on it, and he's going to find a way to obviously, create counter plays around it, which is what I want to see.
Yep.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about obviously what's very important, because what happened these last 3 games, Rockets still could not win on the road. Currently 0-5 as we speak. Took L's the entire West Coast road trip against the Clippers, the Lakers, and ultimately the Warriors in fine fashion. But a lot to take. I don't want to dive into any of these games in particular. I just kind of want to see if there were any like pluses and minuses in terms of what you saw.
Yeah.
That made you either feel bad or good going into it. Jalen, which we already kind of established, especially these last couple games. Was there anything else that you saw that you can, take a step back and be like, oh yeah, this is good, or some stuff where you can be like, oh no, we can fix this, down the road?
Well, I'm gonna put 2 things: one positive, one negative. I'm gonna start with the negative.
Hit me.
Dylan Brooks has gone a little
yeah, you know what? Yeah, it reminds me. I kind of want to see that. I want to see those attempts.
My man's been shooting the ball a lot. Even in the fourth quarter, I believe against the Lakers, he hit 2 threes, but he was 2 of 5 from the field
those attempts
in that game.
Have gone
My man shot
amount.
9 for 21 against the Lakers, 6 of 11 from 3. Hey man, good thing. 6 of 11
threes
from 3.
are great.
That was great.
I'll take
but then
those threes.
He shot 3 for 10 inside the 3-point line, and those a lot of those were on layups of him trying to get into the paint. And sometimes I feel like Dylan Brooks gets in the way of himself with his ego.
Absolutely.
I get it, especially
We
against
played
LeBron James.
Right.
I mean, he only scored 5 points against LeBron when we played them at home. And now he's like, okay, I'm going to get mine here. And I think that he went a little bit into business for himself, a little bit of CM Punk action, calling out Adam Hangman Page on a promo. That's what I thought of in terms of Dylan
Got everybody
Brooks.
off guard.
That's kind of how I felt there.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I think in terms of Dylan Brooks, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just real quick, I did notice though, because he did shoot 34 shots in the last 2 games. That's way too many shots.
Yeah, I mean, much. 13 shots is fine within the flow of the offense. Last game, I don't really have too many complaints. He had Steph Curry pinned down in the post for multiple possessions.
That's barbecue chicken, man. You gotta take advantage.
He missed a couple. It happens. He's not going to score 100% down there. Maybe if he gets in deeper position, then yes. But at the same time, his game against the Lakers, like the defense against LeBron, that final possession going for that steal, this man went for glory. He's like Sanka Coffee saying that he's going to drive the push car.
Right.
Come on, man. That's not how it works. Like,
no,
this is
a team game. Little bit more, right.
Don't put your teammates in a bad position because you want fucking glory.
Well, he knows he made a mistake. He even admitted it. He's like, I made a mistake. That's
fair.
on me.
I know.
Like, he admitted it.
He admitted
himself
it.
Accountable.
He
We
does.
can appreciate that. Growth. Last year, he didn't even take any interviews. This year, he looked the reporters dead in the eye, and he said, that's on me.
Yeah, but that's because the Memphis team did not have his back. I think there's a difference between the way the Rockets back him and the way Memphis backs him. But yeah, I mean, that's my negative. But my positive here that I'm going to talk about, Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Smith Jr., despite his subpar play against the Clippers, he didn't look so great against the Clippers. But the last 2 games, the man played ball, especially the last game, the Warriors. My man played to a T what we expected from him with confidence, shooting middies, shooting threes. The 3-point shot will come, but the mid-range, Jay, I am telling you, when you just rise up, brother, no one can block you. And you played great. The defense. When he was a primary defender on a person that took a shot against the Warriors, 4 of 14. That's an amazing thing to do with him. And
he's good.
I think that says a lot.
He's good when he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot about his growth, how far he's come, even in the last few games, in terms of understanding, like, hey, I'm capable. I am more than capable of being a huge piece on this team. And, Jabari, shout out to you, man. Like, for real. I mean, people might not give you as much credit. You are not going to be the guy that's going to be the one to blame because you played your ass off last night and you earned it. So, shout out to you, man.
I agree. I think for me, for the good points, for me, like what I would want to take away from this is in terms of the negatives, the GM went ahead and he zoned in on players in particular. I want to zone in on the entire team. I love the idea of the Alp and Fred VanVleet pick and roll, but I don't think it's going to be sustainable down the stretch. It's a great pocket move. It's a great move to have in your pocket, kind of like the Kobe fadeaway. It's like it's there if you need it. It's there if you need an auto bucket, especially if you're stagnant on the half court offense. But I would like to see a little bit more wrinkles in the offense.
Absolutely.
I would like to see the Jabari pull up from mid range, which I think he can get at any moment of the game if he wanted.
Yeah.
It's up to Ime to set that play up for him to be successful.
Yeah.
Just wrinkles into the game, into the totality of the game in a half court set that can make this team be a little bit more effective and a little bit more effective from the field goal percentage, and to make them, so that way they're not just predictable. It's just going to be the basic pick and roll. We can do something different. Like I like the idea, like I said, of the Jabari mid range. Maybe we can get a Jalen cutting to the rim. Maybe there's a way we can keep Dylan effective. Maybe if it's a mouse in the house, what they did in the post against Steph Curry, that's great. That's beautiful. If they can continue to do that, take advantage of the switches, take advantage of the worst defender that's on you. Find little wrinkles like that to make yourself a little less predictable. Can really help it. I think that's what we need to see a little bit more of. Because we saw a lot of it, and I think when we got into the trenches, they went into that 2-man game, which is great, but it almost cost them to a fault. So they stayed in all these games except for the Warriors. Like they got close a couple times, but they couldn't get there. But I mean, Clippers and Lakers, they were tied. They had the lead. Like multiple occasions throughout the game, they were right there. Lakers, they lost it on a foul that, in my opinion, I think Dylan fouled him before that. Where there was still like 3 seconds left on the clock. You could have bought yourself another second and a half, or a second, or maybe almost 2 seconds worth. So I think that could have helped. And then the game against Harden, where Harden hit the game-winning three. You just have to tip a cap.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like that's why I'm not taking any of these losses.
I mean,
negatively.
the missed calls against the Clippers too.
Right, there were missed calls.
And then, it felt like mostly in that fourth quarter, the Clippers were trying to give it away. Like they could not make anything.
No, they really
made
couldn't.
horrible
Paul
mistakes.
George couldn't make a single bucket.
Execution
bailed them
was
out.
bad.
Right.
And the Rockets could not execute down the stretch. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a young team. I stated, I've stated in passing, like I think that this team, in terms of excitability, is reminiscent of the 2012-2013 Rockets, James Harden's first year. It's the year of hope. It's the year of people breaking out, and it's the year where things are just starting to be like, oh, things are about to be right in this world, and the Rockets will be good again.
I think so too.
Yeah, and so
right.
It's a great thing. We're 6-6, and I would have killed to be 6-6.
Right.
The way it happened is kind of crazy. Three straight losses, 6 straight wins, and 3 more losses. It's a game of fucking what's called
what is it? Patterns or whatever?
Yeah, I mean it's like patterns. It's like
runs.
Yeah, game of runs. And what would I say during the Warriors series?
Attrition. It's a
battle of attrition.
Yeah,
man.
no, I mean that's what it is.
You got to take the highs with the lows.
Right.
You just got to take the punches.
Right. Which I think why we should tack off another 6 in a row if the pattern works. So we'll lose 3, win 6, lose 3. We should win another 6.
That means we'll be 12-6.
I'll take it. Sure. Why not? End the season at 41-41. I'll take it.
We'll definitely be higher than 41-41.
Oh yeah. Well, depending on how it ends, I guess the way the pattern works. But yeah, y'all can do the math. I don't have the wherewithal for that. But I do love it. I think that overall this team is like, in terms of, after like talking negative, putting my negatives out there for my positive, I think this team has played supremely well. Actually, all things considered, you had a hungry Clippers team that really needed a win to gel with that Harden trade. So they finally got that first win. Mm-hmm. You can argue that the NBA refs had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. I'd have to kind of agree there. The Lakers game where it was LeBron versus AD, knowing that we blew him out by 34-35 last game, they had something. LeBron had a little personal action against Dylan. He played 40 plus minutes that game. LeBron for no reason should be playing 40 plus minutes. He's only playing those minutes because he wanted to beat the Rockets.
The noise for LeBron is a little deafening and annoying considering we beat them by 30 points a week before. We need the noise going both ways.
Exactly. So I think that, he wanted to get this win. And Warriors, for some reason, they just, I don't know why. They always get up. Steph Curry, who didn't play the past several games, decided, I'm going to get up and play against the Rockets. And then, Klay Thompson, I'm going to go up and play against the Rockets as well. So I'm not worried at the totality of the 3 games. It sucks. I think the 2 LA games were very winnable. I don't think you were going to beat the Warriors. They were just insanely hot on offense. But those last 2 games were very winnable. You could easily argue the point that we could be 8-4 right now as opposed to 6-6.
Definitely
so I think, and think about it, guys. To put it from a macro standpoint, we were 2-10 at this point last year.
Yeah, it's true.
So either 2-10 or 1-11. Yeah. So this is a great place to be at. Overall, I'm really, really happy for where the Rockets are.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure.
All 3 teams had lost at least 5 games in a row prior to facing us.
Oh, well, there you go. So they obviously
desperation.
So desperation, obviously breeds crazy play, I guess. I don't know. I think overall though is that they really needed the win. They wanted it, I guess, slightly more than us. But I wouldn't say that. I think we wanted to win just as much as they did. But the execution, Clippers, they're established for the most part. They just got Harden, but they're an established team already. Yeah. Lakers are established already, NBA champions in 2020. Bubble, debatable. Yeah. And, the Warriors are the Warriors. So, these are basically kind of your, not blueprint, but this is kind of the king, not even the kings of the mountain, but these are established playoff teams. All 3 teams are established playoff teams. Yep. So if you want a chance to go for the crown, you got to kind of go through these 3 teams. We beat Denver, so which is great at home. I think we're just going to be a juggernaut at home. I think we're not going to lose much at home. In all honesty, I feel like we're going to tack off a lot of wins. GM, let's move on right now. Obviously, let's talk about Rockets versus Grizzlies, which is going to be the next game and the next preview. What are we looking for? What are we looking for in terms of, having this team win? Any storylines that stand out? Dylan versus Memphis. Yeah, it's true. Back.
It's true.
Give me, key points here and then what your final score is going to be.
Well, the key points here, one, Dylan Brooks, I'm going to say it because obviously it's personal with him against his old team. He said it like the ex-girlfriend that is missed because you realize what you had now that it's gone. I need him to reel it in a little bit. Don't get too crazy, just like you played against LeBron. Settle down a little bit. Let the game come to you. Everything will work out just fine. Memphis is not very good. No, we don't really need that kind of game out of Dylan Brooks. I wouldn't be surprised if he scored 20 points, but at the same time,
at home,
let your main guy cook. Let LP do his thing in the post. PNR, Fred VanVleet. Let's get Jalen back into the good graces. Jabari Smith Jr., do your thing, and this should be a dub for the Rockets.
Memphis is 3-10.
Yeah, and then number 2, upkeep the defense. The defense has been key throughout this 6-6 start. The defense is so good, like you just stated. Just keep it up. Last night, the defense wasn't as great, but I believe we can chalk it up to
I love me some defense.
Tired legs, back-to-back, first time.
End of a 3-game road trip.
Exactly. So, you know what? I'm not too worried about it, but I think that's the one thing you want to sustain. And 3, limit the turnovers. We've been turning the ball over a ton on the road, and I think that is something that we can do in terms of handling at home. For the Rockets, it's necessary. Take care of the ball. Be responsible. Don't get reckless out there. We can do it. Just get back to your winning ways in Toyota Center, and let's win. Get it.
What got them successful.
And, my prediction, Rockets win 115-100, 15-point victory over the worst team in the league.
115 over 100? Dang, yep. Okay. I like that.
I haven't called a blowout.
Okay.
But
been a minute.
I'm smelling it.
Oh, you smell?
Smelling it.
Cooking it? You smell what the dub is cooking?
I do.
And I'm not talking J-Dub?
It smells like a yeet.
Oh, yeet. I want to talk about, obviously, what you were saying. For me, anyways, I think what's going to make this team ultimately successful, I think Dylan's actually going to have a good game. It's home. He's at home. Mm-hmm. So it's a little home cooking from the crowd. I think he's going to actually have a really good game. I don't think he's going to overshoot. Obviously, he's going to shoot more shots. I'm probably going to predict maybe about 13 to 15 shots, probably, most likely. I think he's going to play very, very well. I would like to see, like you said, Jalen Green get something. We need a boost of confidence. If we can get something going, we're going to feel good going into it. Yeah. I want to see LP continue to do what LP does, continue to do what's gotten you to be one of the best centers in the NBA today. Mm-hmm. We should get this win. Yep. Defense stays stout. we should definitely get this win. Tari's continuing. He didn't play the back-to-back, so he didn't play against the
true.
Warriors.
I forgot about that.
We missed Tari. We definitely missed Tari.
We did.
So getting him back is going to be key. Every game he's going to get stronger. Expect another strong performance from Jeff Green off the bench. Aaron Holiday has been a freaking godsend for us. So I think they're going to tack off the win. My win total is going to be 118 to 106.
Oh my god!
I think the Rockets win.
I think every single game this year is predict is 118.
Hey, I'm 6-6. So, technically, during these, I think I've only lost one game, and which was the last game against the Clippers. During predictions,
fair,
because we didn't predict the last two. It was a whole road trip.
Touche.
So I do predict 118, 106. So I'm 6-1 currently in the predictions thread. So 118 to 106 final score here. Drop your predictions. I want to know what y'all are all going to think. What is the final score tally going to be for Rockets versus Memphis? How much are they going to win by? Is it going to... And tell me why it's going to be 118. I'm just kidding. GM, let's go ahead and end it here on one last segment. Obviously, Dawg, another week has passed by, so we need to talk about our DAWG Dawg of the week. All right, GM. There's been some players out here.
Yep.
Had a hot start during the week, obviously. Won our last two home games. Oh, no, sorry. No, we did not play the whole week. I'm sorry. So it's actually it's just the totality of the weekend.
Yep.
So our Dawg of the weekend.
There you go.
For the first time ever. Wow. I don't know if we'll ever do this again.
Okay.
Dawg of the week end. Who for you? Who's your Dawg of the week?
That's easy.
End.
Jabari Smith Jr. Dawg of the weekend. My man, he came from the ashes and rose like the Dark Knight and decided to play some really good ball. It was very impressive. And, I think that Jabari Smith Jr. is definitely deserves it with his play on both ends of the floor, especially the way the game against Golden State played out. Despite the loss, the man played like a man possessed, and he definitely deserves his credit for that. So for me,
give him his flowers. Sure.
Jabari Smith Jr. is our Dawg of the weekend.
Let's go. Dawg of the weekend is going to be Jabari Smith for you. Yeah, for me, I have to agree. It's got to be Jabari Smith Jr. My son, like I said, with the second he hit his first shot, the agenda's back, baby.
You gave him his pep talk.
Yeah, I gave him the pep talk. I already told you. Remember, I told y'all last episode, we had to sit him down.
Yeah.
We had to have a good talk, good father-son conversation. And afterwards, we went fishing. And we got it going. So, just kidding. But
did y'all take photos on the boat?
Father-son activities. Yeah, you gotta have the comedy moment of me holding the tiny fish while he holds the gigantic 20-pounder. It's like, fishing with my son, but no. He's been incredible. I expect him to carry it over. Man, I'm gonna give it to Jabari Smith Jr., but man, I have to give a special mention and shout out to Alperen Sengun. Dude's been great. Dude's been consistent.
Fair.
Dude, I mean, he was as close to a win as possible in LA against the Lakers, and he freaking hit the game. Freaking hit a gamer on LeBron. So I have to, if we're going to go Dawg of the week, I mean, Alperen Sengun has to get a shout out. So I'm definitely going to give it to him one time. All right, GM, let's get ready to go home here. But before we go home, let's talk about Big City Wings, that's right. Houston's wing joint, Apollo's wing joint one time.
Eat 'em up.
We're recording this on a Tuesday. 2 for Tuesday action. Remember, that is the number one deal that they have currently. Buy one, get one. What a great freaking deal,
El
by
Clasico,
the way.
man.
Endless flavors.
Absolutely.
You can get boneless, bone in. It is buy one, get one. So 2 for Tuesday, be sure to do that. Remember, it's only available on Tuesdays, so every Tuesday, be sure to check them out. Remember, guys, we're in Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. I don't know if we're going to record. We may record before or after. We may do another one after. I don't know. But happy Thanksgiving. And if you guys want chicken wings on your Thanksgiving, substitute a little turkey for chicken action. They do cater. So be sure to check them out. And if you do want to cater, find the nearest location nearest you for Big City Wings. Tons of locations. Go check them out. Best wings in the city. Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. One time for all of you. GM, let's get ready to go home here on another successful episode. Episode, I think, 187 now officially in the books.
Wow, we made it.
Yeah, we made it. We're out here.
We made it.
We're so out here.
We are
so out
definitely
here.
out
Oh, no,
here.
187 on a winning team.
I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
We finally hit our winning stride in like the 180s. That's insane. GM, give the people what they want as a producer. Give us the go home cue. Give the people what they want one time.
Well, everyone, make sure to follow me on Twitter at JP_Mirabueno. Make sure to follow the podcast, this podcast at Summit SOM Pod on Twitter and TikTok. Follow us on Instagram at Summit State of Mind _POD. Make sure to follow our people, our brothers, our team at Apollo NBA and at Apollo HOU. And make sure to super kick that subscribe button at youtube.com/ApolloHOU. And one more thing before I go. Go Houston Dynamo. Sunday, Western Conference semifinals. We in this.
Dale Dynamo. You can also follow me on Twitter at Summit Commish. Shout out to our Apollo Podcast Network brethren that continue brethren that continue to kill the game one time. The crown jewel of Astros podcast. That's right. Beyond the Diamond BTD. They just did their Mount Rushmore of Astros. Go check them out. Shout outs to the Apollo Texans. Off the Grid Iron, your number one listen for all Houston Texans content. Freaking killing it right now. CJ Stroud is so freaking him. So if you guys like that as well, be sure to check them out. And we appreciate each and every one of y'all for making us your first listen for all Houston Rockets content. Oh, by the way, I don't even know. By the way, if you're still listening in by the 45+ minute mark, shouts to my Turkey listeners. We've been gaining a lot of followers from Turkey, so shouts to our Turkey listeners.
Shout out to Turkey.
Shouts
we
to
appreciate
Turkey.
you guys.
You guys are awesome. Like literally, I will post these episodes into the night, and they are all viewing and listening and watching. So we appreciate each and every one of y'all. Big fans of Alperen Sengun, so we appreciate it. Let's go ahead and end this episode as we end every episode.
Yep.
With a go Apollo, go Summit, and 6-6. I'll take a little 500 ski action right here. Let's start another win streak. Go Rockets. Oh, yeah. By the way, Jim, watch basketball. Yeet.
Yeet.